You're watching Pyro Media Network.
I gotta tell you something I could do. I could be running around chasing you, but I won't. Cause I got better things to do. Rather spend my precious time chasing somebody who loves me too. If I got $1 for every time you slam the door, I would be the richest girl alive. If you hadn't run away every time I asked you stay, you would sleep right next to me tonight. But you didn't know me, all you wanted was a game to play, and you couldn't handle that I had my ways. I found your matrix and your side chicks, I'm a winner, babe. But you didn't win this, it's a part of the game. That you're an
Hello,
enemy
Pyro
enough
Media
to
family. Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We hope your experience with us is fruitful. While we are loading your experience, please do us a quick favor and hit that like button from whichever platform you're watching or listening on. And we do hope you consider hitting that subscribe or follow button so you can check out more of our amazing content. All right, let's start the show.
Happy Friday, Junior. It's Dr. Nicole D. Vick of Nicole D. Vick Live. Every Thursday, except for last month because I was on vacation, but every Thursday, I come to you with important topics in the Black community from a social justice perspective. And I'm really excited to have you here. Now, this week, we're going to kind of take a little bit of a soft turn away from the social justice stuff and get just a little personal. I don't think we talk enough about, and I think actually this is actually timely because I believe this is National Black Mental Health Month. I think we're focusing on mental health this month. So we don't talk enough about adult friendships, I don't think, and what happens when those friendships break down. Not from betrayal or some kind of scandal, but like miscommunication or hurt feelings or um, a difference in expectations. And I actually had an experience like that recently. Someone that I cared about kind of walked away with a different version of what happened between us. Like there was the thing that happened, and then the way they interpreted the thing that happened. And I was like, wait, I thought I was being helpful to you. You asked me for help, and I thought I was helping you by doing what you asked. But after the fact, it turns out that wasn't quite how they interpreted it. And I'm not going to lie to y'all. Y'all, those of you that know me know I'm a Virgo, and we're typically seen as very cold. We don't have emotions and stuff. But like, I was confused. I was hurt, and kind of sad. Like, wait, what happened? How did it get interpreted so differently between the two of us? I just really didn't get it. I think a lot of us, especially women, carry that invisible weight of broken friendships. We show up for other people. We open our homes, our hearts, or whatever. And when things unravel, it's really like, where do we process that, right? Because typically for especially Black women, we process those kinds of things with our friends. But if the friendship is fractured, then well, who do you process it with, right? And I feel like with romantic breakups, you cry, you get your donuts and your pizza, and you have your music, and there's a certain sort of process. But I think it's not quite the same for your friendships. So I want to talk about not so much what happened, because I don't think that's necessarily my place to talk about someone else's experience. So I don't want to talk about what happened per se, but I want to talk about sort of the aftermath after the misunderstanding. How do I sit with my feelings? How, if this is something that you are going through, how do you sit with your feelings without getting stuck in this loop of like, well, what, how do we own what's ours, right? Okay, well, maybe, this could have happened differently. Let go of what's not. I think that's so important, and still keep our hearts open. And for me, I was like, who better to talk about this with than my friend Felicia? Felicia is an author. She has this beautiful journal around focusing on our ancestors. And I feel like she's someone that kind of can dig deep. And so I'm like, we got to go a little deep today. So I want to bring her on. Now, again, I'm not really about blaming. It's really more for me about understanding. Like, I always try to be introspective. Like, if something happens, like with my ankle, by the way, y'all, look, I'm walking with my cane only at this point, and I got my little sequin cane. Even with my ankle, like, it was an accident, yes, but like, was there something that I was supposed to learn from this experience? So I kind of really went inside to think about that and how I can take what I have learned and move forward with it. So same with this, like, wait, first I was like, what the heck? But then it was like, wait, okay, wait, what happened? And since the relationship is fractured, there's no conversation, there's no opportunity for conversation. How do I now move forward? So let's bring on Felicia. We're gonna talk and we're gonna see where this goes.
Hey, hey.
Hey, friend.
Hey, friend. How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm feeling okay. And we've talked about what happened and all the details and everything, but I feel like as the weeks have gone on, I'm feeling much better about it, much more introspective. And I think that this is going to be a very important conversation, because I don't think we talk about adult friendships and how layered and emotionally loaded they can be. I mean, you and I are friends. I meant to put the picture in for the producer to post, and I forgot. But we went, you were in LA and we hung out and stuff, and had a really good time. And so, like, how important friendships are specifically with among Black women. Like, what are
Mm.
your thoughts even just about that? Let's start there.
When you called me, my first thought, do you remember Iyanla Vanzant's book, Acts of Faith? The very first time I heard or I read the statement, people come into your life for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. The first time I read that, I was in my early 30s. And at that point in my life, I was like, mostly everyone that I grew up with, I was still friends with. So I'm like, I couldn't fathom the thought of people not that were there that wouldn't be there forever. Well, lo and behold, at 50 something, we'll just leave it at that, 50 something years old, many of them are not here, there anymore. So when it comes to these friendships, relationships, some of them are seasonal. Some of them are not supposed to last a lifetime. Some of them come to teach us something. And when we learn whatever it is, the time has run its course. Now, there are two types of people in this world too. That was what I posted when we talked about this on LinkedIn. There are givers and there are takers. When you are a giver, you leave yourself wide open for takers to come in and just take. So in your space, without, giving too much information, I feel like when we give more than we receive, and we're watching ourselves do this, and we're when you're giving more than you're supposed to, when you're giving more than you're receiving, it's kind of like we're out of balance, and it's somewhere in there we have to look at ourselves and be like, am I bringing this energy to me? Am I causing these problems? Am I creating this space where I'm a part of, creating the space that's having me with these hurt feelings and this hurt space? Did I invite this into my space?
Yeah. I think that's a very good observation. And, again, like you said, without saying too much, this person reached out to me, and I would say at their lowest point, and needed my space for us a short period of time. And of course, I said yes. And I think one thing, Felicia, we talked about, and you were like, Nicole, you was in a wheelchair. You over here with your own issues, and you still say yes. And I think that speaks to what you just said about the give. Like, well, okay, of course, yes, 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 I can help you. But I don't know, it just really felt bad when it all came out that what I thought was helpful was not. And I wonder if it really is about this cultural pressure on women. I don't know if it's a black woman thing or if it's a woman thing, to always be available, to always be a people pleaser. Like, okay, of course, yes, yes, yes. I don't know if that has something to do with it. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that either.
I think, women across the board, I don't know if it's necessarily an ethnic thing. I think women in general come with that giving, nurturing, uh, we're nurturers by nature. So when it's hard for us to say no when we see someone that's in need. But not only is it hard for us to say no, sometimes it's hard for us to set, and I guess the best way to put this is clear, set boundaries. When you allow that person your space to occupy your space without, this is here, I think when it was presented to you, it was supposed to be for a short period of time and it turned into something different. Somewhere in there, we don't know how to say, hey, these are the boundaries. This is what it is. I can give you 3 days. And then when the third day comes and they're still not ready to come out of your space, here's the fourth day. And we're like, oh, yeah, well, I understand. The fifth day, yeah, now I understand. By the sixth day, now you're getting on my nerves because you're occupying space that I'm not prepared to give you. But in reality, like I said before, it's kind of a two-way street because it's like, I know you're in space I don't want you to be in anymore, but I'm not being real forward about it. I'm not being real clear because I haven't set those boundaries because I'm afraid to hurt you. But while I'm afraid to hurt you, I'm hurting me or I'm harming me. So it's a juggling act and it's a balance in the process of all that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that bothered me the most was the difference in perception of the experience. And I did a little research, and I don't know if you've ever dug into this, but there's some neuroscience and psychology behind assumptions, and miscommunication and emotional memory that I thought was very interesting. In what I found is that adult friendships are shaped by assumptions based on past patterns, deep emotional memory stored below awareness. So things that we remember that we're not even aware of, attachment styles. I was like, oh, wow.
Mm.
And a biological drive for connection and repair. And so, I thought that that was really interesting because maybe what her attachment style is, maybe her deep emotional memories and mine, and how I perceived it. That's why we had that disconnect. But I mean, beyond that, I just really, really want to talk through how to move forward. But I thought it was really interesting to think about that. Oftentimes, the person's perception of or experiences in life will shape how they perceive what happened or what is happening in an interaction. And I feel like I guess that makes sense, especially in this case, because it did sound like this person had a little bit of a traumatic experience, right, where their housing was compromised. So I would imagine anybody would have maybe sort of a skewed perception of what's really happening because they're in, I would suppose, survival mode. So I've been really thinking and trying to be introspective and thinking hard about not about blame, but like, well, what happened? And I think the thing that I am most sad about, and we can talk about this a little bit, is sort of there was no opportunity for repair. There was no opportunity for clarification. This person left feeling away, and I didn't even find out until months later that that's how they felt. So there was no opportunity to say, wait, that's not what happened. And let's talk it through. It was literally like block, bye. I don't want to talk to you anymore. And I was like, so now that I'm not no longer useful to you, then Yeah, I don't know. So that's an interesting thing too. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Well, one thing that I know, there's always a time and a space to repair things, even if it's a little further down the road. You know, whatever's blocked today, as long as no one's dead, there's an opportunity down the road. Might not be in the time and space or the timing that you want it to be in, but long as the both, as long as two people are still here, there's a time and a place to fix things. Now, as far as people cutting off full communication, well, I'm a firm believer in giving people what they want. If you chose to cut me off, if you chose to block me, I'm certainly not going to try to interfere in the space you have made clear you don't want me in. I'm not about to beg you. I'm definitely not about to go out of my way to fix it because there's a certain level of immaturity that comes with that. At 40, 50 years old, we blocking people. I mean, it's, to each his own. I just can't imagine anything that's gone on enough that would make someone say, I need to block you.
You'd be
I mean,
surprised.
but the thing is, what are you blocking over? What has gone on that is so deep that you never want to hear from that person again. You never want them in your life in any way, shape, form, or fashion. But then later on down the road, you'll think about it and be like, maybe I should unblock her. Maybe, So I wouldn't put too much energy into that. And
Yeah.
when people block or when they act like, they make space where you can't contact them. Okay. I give you what you're asking for. I'm not going to try.
Right.
I mean, there's always a way around a block. You do know that. Star 69 is a beautiful thing. You can dial anybody that blocked you.
That still
And
works.
not only that, your number doesn't come up. But, who's got time for all that at this big age? Who has
I
time?
know.
You just don't
It's
be
just
there.
it's just so unfortunate. It really is. But like you said, that to your point, you have to respect. That's a boundary that was drawn. I respect it. And speaking of boundaries, I think you have already alluded to this though. So okay, let's jump on Nicole for a minute. Nicole, you didn't set a good boundary. You didn't. That's let's take responsibility for that. Let's talk through that. Like it can be difficult to set boundaries, especially in a situation where there's someone that you care about. And like I said, they come at you, they come to you and you kind of feel like, well, I can't say no. I'm not going to say no. And then this person has nowhere to go. Right. But why do we have such a hard time setting those boundaries and sort of being a little bit more assertive and how can folks like me, because I know I'm like this, I'm a people pleaser to my core. I'm getting a little better now in my big age, but I still feel like I'm like, well, how do we practice setting those boundaries? Any thoughts on that? And I'm asking you like you the psychiatrist, but I feel like you know things.
You know what? And that's a hard thing for me to answer because I don't want to say I'm a people pleaser, but I love hard. And if I use the word friend, I do not use that word loosely. I'm not that person. If I welcomed you into my life, it is because there was an energy there or there was something that made me think you're supposed to be here. So as far as boundaries are concerned, I'm not really good at drawing boundaries with people that I say I love and people that I consider friends. But somewhere in there, like I said, you have to get to that space that says, okay, I'm giving more than I'm receiving. That's number one. And number two, if you're really my friend, we're really friends, you will understand when I say, this is my boundary. I can only take this much. I can only handle this much. And we're going to be friends when when the next day comes, because I've been real clear about what I can deal with. And you're not crossing my boundaries. I'm not crossing your boundaries. And we're still friends when when the boundaries are in place. So when we invite people into our lives, we have to be careful with expectations. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't expect more from people than I give. But if you're expecting me to give more than you do, that's a difficult space. That's a difficult
Yeah.
space to call friend. And then how easily are you giving out that title?
Yeah.
That's the
But yeah.
question. How easily are you giving out that title? Because I have a lot of associates. I have a ton of people
Yeah.
that know me, or at least they think they do anyway. I've got a lot of people, when I had my salon open, oh, that's my girl, that's my this, that's my that. My salon closed about a year ago. My phone barely rings. So there's a
Yeah.
difference between associates and friends. What was your definition of making this a friendship? What did she bring to the table that constituted you giving her the title as a friend?
Yeah. Very good point. Because I think one of the conversations I've had is when I started to think about the totality of the relationship, I felt like I was useful as long as I was useful. I was a friend as long as I was able to provide help,
Mhm.
resources. Can you be my reference for this job? Can you do this? Can you come drop me off over here? But
Mhm.
the minute things changed, it was so easy for, that was hurtful and antagonizing. I'm blocking you. And I'm like, whoa, without even like we were saying, without even a conversation, like, Nicole, I felt the way, you know what? When you
Mhm.
said, I had to leave, I felt a way about that. Can we talk about that? Not even that courtesy, more of like, no, you did this XYZ and block, 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 block. And I'm like, dang. So I think you're right. I think that is something that I need to think about what is a friend, who is a friend, and sort of, the dynamic, and be a little bit more mindful and aware. So a lot of lessons learned for me, moving forward, and a lot of deep thought. So we're going to
Yeah.
go to commercial, and then we're going to talk about coping. How do we move forward? Because I think, this part of it was more like the introspection. Now we got to think about, all right, how do we move forward, do things differently, and do things a little better. But let's go to break, and we'll be right back.
Hey, it's Pastor Kim from It's Just Kim Live Show, and you're watching Pyro Media Network.
And we're back talking about adult friendships, specifically amongst Black women, and what happens when it breaks down and there's misunderstanding, miscommunication, folks' feelings is hurt, and stuff goes wrong. I want to talk about, sort of coping. How do we move forward? And there's a really cool question here that I have, and it says, "What does it look like to honor your truth without needing someone else to agree with it?" I think that was the biggest issue with me. I'm like, no, but that's not what happened. Like, I was stuck on that. That is not what happened. That's the Virgo side of me, right? Like, that's wrong. That is not what happened. Why are you interpreting it that way? What the heck? So I asked this question: what does it look like to honor your truth without needing someone else to agree with it? One thing I'll say before I turn it over to you is, a lot of folks, I posted what happened on Facebook, not in detail, but I was like, dang, I felt bad to think I was helping somebody and learn that literally they were like, nope. And a couple folks were like, you need to read this book called Let Them by Mel Robbins.
Mhm.
And where it's like, when people are wrong about you, let them. When people lie about you, let them. And I'm like, so that's my struggle. Like, no. But I think it goes back to people pleasing and that desire or want to be liked, right? Like, no, 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 I'm the nice person, but I'm learning. I had a friend say, you're going to have to be okay with being the villain in someone's story. You just going to have to be. You're
Mhm.
going to. So let's talk about that, because what does it look like to honor your truth without needing someone to validate or to agree with that truth? What does that look like?
That's not always easy. I used to be the same way, but this is the truth. This is the way it happened. This is the way it happened. But perception, my perception, your perception may be two totally different things, and your truth and my truth may be two totally different things, and neither one of us are wrong. It's just how we received the situation. Now, when you can't get to this place to the place where we can come back to the middle, then you just have to be okay with we're going to have to agree to disagree. And if in that disagreement, that person feels like they need to separate from me and be as extreme as blocking and cutting me off for good and all that good stuff in between, I'm going to have to be okay with saying goodbye. Now, the hardest thing, like you said, when you break up with a man, when you're in a romantic relationship and you break that up, we have so many ways to grieve that. But something about a sisterhood, something about your friendships, that's sacred. That's the person that, there, I mean, I don't know about all people, but there's always one or two people that has your deepest, darkest secrets. When you break up with that person or that, and it is a breakup, you know, it's painful. It's hard. It's a difficult space. But again, you have to get to the space that says, but I have to honor what's good for me, what's healthy for me. And dealing with you in that situation, if we can't agree to disagree and come back to the middle, like leave that alone. Okay, I don't agree with what you said, Nicole. I don't agree with what you said, Felicia. Okay, we're good. We don't agree. We agree to disagree. A true
Right.
friendship will be fine after that. It's not brought up anymore. We don't talk about it. We don't keep going back and forth about it because I'm not going to get you to see where I'm coming from if you deeply feel you're right. You're not going to get me to see where you're coming from if deep down inside I feel like I'm right. So you have to just know where in that space, just put it down and move on. And again, if we have to walk away from one another, just walk away knowing I send you all the love and light that I can through the ethers and be done with it.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I had to tell myself, like, I'm not angry or upset. I would, wish her well. If I see her on the side of the road with a flat tire, I would pull over and help. But it's just unfortunate. I think one of the other things is, so I still haven't picked up my copy of Let Them. I'm excited to go get it so I can kind of dig in, because I think it
Mhm.
really, when I read the summary, I was like, oh boy, that is she who Mel Robbins hit it? I was like, why is she hitting it right there on the head like that? Boop. I said, that's exactly what the issue is with me. So again, me trying to really focus on growth for myself. Another thing, and we can talk a little bit about your journal, but I think journaling will probably help me a little bit, tap into the ancestors and just really think about like my purpose in life. I think too, that's important, reaffirming like, Nicole, you didn't do anything wrong, right? Because I was like, did I do something wrong? Is it me? I don't think did I tell you I talked to John and we talked about it and he was like, no, no, no.
Why do I
But
feel like I
after,
can hear John like, girl?
he was like, wait a minute, what's going on? And so, and then sometime later, I was like, is it me? Like, is it me? Am I the problem? And he had to call me back. He's like, I had to call you back because you tripping. And I was like, I don't understand. And so it was just really this space of, me thinking I need to journal. I need to get in community with people that I know and who care about me. And John is actually a really new friend, newer than the person that
Mhm.
the
Right.
other person. So for him to be able to say, that's not what you're saying happened and what she's saying about you doesn't match what I see. So I need
Mhm.
you to calm down. So I think that's the other thing that's really important in helping you move forward is journaling, introspection, reading, getting feedback from people that care about you, and also still maybe, saying, not, I don't believe in the devil's advocate, but saying, well, wait a minute, is it me? Is there something I'm missing? And being really open and thinking through that. So those are some really good tips and things that I did to help me kind of walk through it and get to peace. I mean, I'm one of those people that also needs closure sometimes. Like,
Mm.
no, I need this to be
Sometimes you
closed.
can't. Sometimes you can't get it. The closure happened when the block was done,
That's that
and
exactly.
I know it's painful because it wasn't your closure. Trust me, it has happened to me. When it's not your closure or the closure you need, it's really painful. There's something inside that you're going round and round. But I need to say this, and I need to explain that, and I need, and I need. And in all of that thought process of what you think you need to explain to someone, it's going to come back around to what you were saying earlier, those childhood feelings of, but I need you to understand me. I need you to hear me. I need you to feel what I'm feeling because those were not my intentions. They weren't, my intentions were not to hurt you. It's like that little kid, but you don't want to be my friend anymore. I watched my 4-year-old granddaughter. We were in New York City and we were at a park. And she was in an environment where she was the only black or brown child. And the children that she wanted to play with, they didn't want to play with her. And I watched her deflate. And I promise you, everything in me first wanted to smack everybody's child, forgive me, Lord. But I saw a piece of me in her, in that deflating, that feeling of, but I want to be your friend. I want you to see me. I want you to know, be my friend. Look at me. I'm here. I'm present. Watching that brought all those feelings back again. And it's just like, wow, we really do have things that are so multi layered in what goes on in our lives and how we deal with other people as adults and how we deal with friendships and relationships and whatever ship it is in life. So, yeah, it's a lot to unpack. It's a lot to struggle with. But the difference between where we were as little girls and where we are now is we acknowledge, we know that feeling is still there, but now we have to be in a space where it's like, okay, I can't keep trying to make you see me and understand who I am if you can't see it or you don't want to and you want to leave. Let them. I am so with that let them title.
Yes. I say,
You want to leave
wow,
me
wow.
alone? Bye. You don't want to be
And
my
then,
friend? Bye. You don't see the
right.
value in me when I've given you all that I can? Goodbye.
Yeah. And if you think that I would do something like that to you, then you don't know me. You don't really know me. If you thought that I would make you leave for no reason, because that's what happened, you kicked me out for no reason. If you think that I would actually do that to you, then I don't think you know me like you, or you know what I
Right.
mean? It's like, do you really? Because like I would, why would I do that?
Right.
Um,
And like I said,
yeah,
that goes back to how easily we give titles to people and invite them in spaces that maybe we shouldn't. You know,
yeah.
I have a whole bunch of female friends, so to speak, women that I deal with on a regular basis. I can count on less than two hands how many have walked through my door.
Mm,
We can hang out, we can kiki. We can go to a restaurant, we can kiki. We can go to the club, we can go to the party, we can go to the concert, we can do all that. Everyone can't walk through my front door.
yeah.
And that's because this is my sacred space. The
Yep.
energy that I invite in my home is too much to cleanse when the wrong energy walks through my threshold, let
Yep.
alone sleep in my house.
Yep.
Do you see what I'm saying? I had one friend that was in a so-called homeless situation, whatever the case may be, that I allowed to, take up space, sleep in my home. Mind you, I'm married and I do have a husband, family, cats, dogs, the whole nine. And the energy she brought in my house was unreal. Like the
Mhm.
OCD type of cleaning. You won't sit on my toilet without wiping it down like you're in a restaurant. And I'm one of the cleanest people walking, talking. But then that the kind of thing that's like, did you just pull out a Clorox wipe when I just got done cleaning my bathroom and you're in my space? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You're a woman in my space.
Lord.
That's the kind of stuff that just makes you go. And ever since that situation, you're going to have to be on rock bottom, and I mean rock bottom, before I allow someone to be in my space like that, sleep in my space like that. So you have to be careful of the energy you allow in your home.
Yeah.
That was a phone call. That was a welcome. That was a hey, And again, from my understanding, it was supposed to be just a couple of days that turned into something totally different.
Right.
But then the villain is, I didn't allow you to keep occupying my space when I had had all that I could take of you in my space. Again,
Right.
this is my space. And
It
your
is.
emergencies don't become my urgencies.
Right. Yeah. I had to, again, thank goodness for my friends. One of my friends said, I know you had a valid reason your daughter was coming. She said, but Nicole, you didn't have to have a reason. You didn't have to. This is your
Right.
house. You
It's your
don't
house.
have to have a reason
Right.
to make any changes in your situation. That's your house. And I'm like, and I don't know why I felt like she I need to tell you that because I feel like you don't understand that. You didn't need a reason to ask her to leave.
You
You
didn't.
had one, but you didn't have to have one. And I'm like, and
Right.
that mess, I was like, what?
Like when you throw a party and it's getting late and it's time to wrap the party up, and there's always that one or two scragglers that you're like, go home, party's over, go home. You shouldn't
Right,
have to go through all that just to tell somebody, you've worn out your welcome. You've
mm,
exhausted your time. And it doesn't mean, again, it doesn't make you the villain, even though you become the villain in this story. That's
right,
her story. That's her
right,
business. And what she thinks and what she has created, or whatever it is that she's created in her mind about you, is none of your business.
hmm
That's
yep,
none of your business. I
definitely
wouldn't
learned.
worry about it. I wouldn't. I mean, again, it's easy. It's easier said than done. Especially, you use the term people pleaser. I just love too hard. When I say I love you, I can assure you, even when I don't deal with you anymore, I still love you. You've just violated so much of whatever it is that I gave you, that I can't have you in my immediate space at this time. But you're at a space now where it's just like, dear Nicole, you did what you were supposed to do as a friend. She asked for XYZ. You gave her ABC and XYZ. You don't owe anything beyond that. You didn't owe anything to begin with.
Right,
So, you know, there are
man.
givers and takers. When you're a giver, a taker will always take more than they're supposed to. And we're always going to feed into that giving. You got to know when
Right.
to say enough.
Set that boundary.
And
This has
truthfully,
been
easy.
this
Easy.
has an amazing conversation, and I think you're right. This is helping me even more. I've been processing it. This is helping me so much, and I hope this is helping those of you who are listening when you're in this difficult situation with friends or associates. How to set those boundaries, how to be introspective about things that happen, how to let go and let whatever folks feel about you be what it is. Like you just said, how people feel about you is none of your business. You don't know nothing about it. And so I hope you have walked away from this episode with some good tips on how to move forward when something like that happens. In some instances, the relationship can be reconciled. In some cases, it cannot be. I'm going to have Felicia come back on at some point. She has a new book out soon, and we're going to have a conversation about that, which I'm so excited about. But I thank you for being here and joining me this evening and helping me process further all the things that happened. I think you are such a great friend and someone that cares deeply about all sorts of things. And I think this, because you're a Libra, we got that Virgo Libra thing going on. I just really appreciate your perspective on things. Any final words? And we're going to close up out of here. We got 3 minutes left. Ciao.
Biggest word in friendship is reciprocity. If there's no reciprocity, there's no friendship. It's that simple. If it's not a give and take, it's a balanced give and take. I'm giving now, you're taking, you're giving now, I'm taking. If there's no balance, there's no friendship.
100%. Thank you so much, Felicia. All right, y'all. Thank you for watching. You know where to find me on my website, www.nicoledvick.com. We got all kinds of things on there. My books, how many of them now? 1, 2, 3, 4? I don't know. Child, a whole bunch of them. You can purchase my books on my website. You can see videos of me on other people's podcasts, other videos that I've done. You can also see this podcast on that website as well. That's my latest book. It's an anthology, Triumph in the Trenches. I am on all the social media channels, mostly LinkedIn. I don't even lie to y'all. I'm not on TikTok or Instagram very much, but I'm working on it. I was talking to my daughter last night. She's like, you need to get yourself back up on there. I don't know what you're doing. You playing, and I don't understand you. So you'll see me soon more on social media, more and more. I have a special guest next week coming. We're going to have a really good conversation as well, Dr. Crystal Adams. And I think that's everything. Thank you, Felicia, for joining me. I know it's late where you are.
All good.
Yeah. All right, y'all. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Okay.
Thank you for watching Pyro Media Network. For more information, please visit pyromedianetwork.com.